Despite his policy of modernization, Abdulaziz never forgot his obligations as guardian of the holy mosques.
In this blessed spot, God has put his ancient house, and from this holy place, God has sent the best of his prophets and messengers. Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him. So it is our duty and the duty of all Muslims in this sacred place and in all other countries to exchange advice on matters of religion and pronounce the call to God and preach it. Here in God's sacred land, I call upon Muslims to understand the real meaning of Prophet Muhammad's message and hold to it strongly.
1938. The king welcomes pilgrims to Mecca in a unique speech for the cameras. The king knew that this was his most serious responsibility. He had to ensure the smooth progress of the Hajj. Meanwhile, the king began extending the Haram. It was the first time anyone had enlarged the precinct since the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent built the cloisters 400 years before. For the pilgrims themselves, Abdulaziz built the Medinat al-Hujjaj in Jeddah. The new accommodation center is still in use by pilgrims today. All this reaffirmed the king's position as the leading independent Arab ruler.
We do not sleep at night without being concerned for all Muslims. We are concerned for our Syrian brothers, our Palestinian brothers, our brothers in Iraq and in Egypt. We are concerned with their situation. Our concerns are theirs.
Across the Arab world, supporters of Arab independence drew comfort from his position. In particular, the situation in Palestine concerned him, as the Arabs tried to resist the rising tide of Jewish immigration.
He said, you have given the Jews a land you don't own so as to give them land. This is an Arab land, our land. So the Jews have no right to take it and you have no right to give it to them. The Arabs don't accept this. The British said that we have given them a promise, the promise of Balfour. He said, we don't accept that promise because you have given them what you don't own.
About Palestine, we will not fall short with our support. I say frankly that silence about Palestine does not serve our interest.
When World War II broke out, it meant the beginning of huge changes in the Arab world. To keep his freedom of action, Abdulaziz maintained neutrality during the war, but favored the Allies. In 1945, after the Conference of Yalta, the American President Roosevelt invited King Abdulaziz to meet him at Suez. He sent a destroyer to bring the king and his court from Jeddah. It was a symbolic meeting. The two statesmen got on famously well.
Yes, they were in good spirits, and Mr. Roosevelt had a very good sense of humor. He told King Abdulaziz, for a long time I've wished to meet you. I've read about you, and now we have met, I want you to tell me what's on your mind.
وقد قرأت عنك شيء كثير وكذا كذا كذا وأنا أريد الآن وقد اجتمعنا أن تخبرني ما الذي لديك.
King Abdulaziz told the interpreter, Colonel Edie, to say that he had received the telegram indicating that Mr. Roosevelt wanted to see him. And now he is here. So what does Mr. Roosevelt want to talk to him about?
معك ما الذي لديك أنت تريد أن تخبرني به.
Abdulaziz even persuaded the president to promise to review his Palestinian policy. The British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, was wary of the new relationship and asked to see the king as well. But the discussions were overshadowed by Abdulaziz's concerns about Palestine. Abdulaziz finally declared war on Germany, and his country shared the historic meetings in Britain and the United States, which started the United Nations. On the Arab stage too, the king expanded his diplomacy. He had always maintained close contacts with political leaders in the Arab world, and in 1946, to celebrate the founding of the Arab League, he visited Egypt and held talks with King Farouk. A new world was taking shape. For the king himself, time was moving on. He had to think of what would come after him. His family would be crucial. The year after the kingdom was proclaimed, the king had announced that he would be followed by his eldest son, Saud.
King Abdulaziz had a deep understanding of history, and he applied the lessons he learned. In the Al Saud family, children were brought up to respect tradition. The younger respected the elder in the style of sitting, eating, and the order of greeting at various occasions. This was an old Saudi tradition that was passed on through generations. King Abdulaziz instilled this tradition deep into his children's hearts.
It was in 1953, even as he was putting in place a new cabinet style of government for the kingdom, that the king passed away.
Everyone was in grief because he loved all people and everyone loved him. Especially since he was the first man to bring security to the kingdom.
King Abdulaziz was just like the Pacific Ocean, a quiet person in the full sense of the word, but when provoked, he reacted firmly. We knew him to be truthful, firm, and strong.
عبدالعزيز آية من الآيات في زمانه داهية الدواهي والله معه.
Abdulaziz was a miracle in his time. He was a very clever man, and God was on his side because he had so many unique characteristics: religion, knowledge, and wisdom.
ينزل الحكم من يشاء ويعطيه من يشاء.
No man among those who passed away is like you. You are like a high mountain which collapsed and shook the ground. You are like the mountain of Uhud, which was buried into a grave. He was a towering man in every respect, towering in his characteristics, his personality, his dealings with others, his politics, and his vision of the future.